Today, I'm creating the weakest country in the entire world. I'll do this by going through a bunch of countries and choosing the worst one in each of these categories. Then, I'll combine the worst traits of these countries to create the absolute weakest country in history. Okay, even the weakest country needs a location, and I think there are a lot of bad places a country shouldn't be. Niger, for example, is not only full of desert land, it has no direct access to the sea as well. But what's even worse is that there's a lot of drought, and this place is so hot. Like seriously, it seems the sun is directly looking at it. There's also Nepal, which has cool mountains no doubt, but due to its large size, it means it's impossible to build stuff. Their lands are really limited because of this, and they also experience frequent earthquakes. But I don't think these two are enough to give us the worst location possible. However, there is one country whose location is almost a nightmare, and that's Chad. Not only is this place completely landlocked in the middle of the Sahara, it is also hot and has an arid climate with almost no fertile land. To make things even crazier, it is surrounded by unstable countries, making trade and security difficult. Basically, you're stuck in a desert with no good neighbors. Yeah, it is quite similar to Afghanistan, but Chad is way worse. Now, the weakest country would definitely have the worst currency in existence, and trust me, there are some currencies out there that make monopoly money look premium. Take Lebanon, for example. Their currency, the Lebanese pound, has fallen so hard it's basically underground. $1 gets you almost 90,000 LBP. That's not money anymore, that's a math problem. Why is it so bad? Well, years of corruption, economic collapse, and banks doing whatever they wanted turned their currency into tissue paper. People in Lebanon now trust dollars more than their own banks. Then there's Zimbabwe, the OG king of hyperinflation. At one point, they even had a $100 trillion note, and it could barely buy you lunch. This was because the government printed money like it was free Wi-Fi, and the economy collapsed faster. But wait, we can't forget Venezuela. Their currency, the bolivar, is so weak that people don't even bother with it anymore. They trade in dollars or even crypto because at least Bitcoin won't turn into dust overnight. Inflation there, over 400%. Prices change so fast that by the time you finish reading this sentence, your salary lost value. And then there's Iran's rial. Let's just say it's a strong contender for worst currency because sanctions, economic isolation, and bad governance turned it into the ultimate loser in exchange rates. But amongst these mentioned candidates, I would have to go for the Zimbabwean dollar. 2 down, 7 more to go. Let's continue with technology. This one's easy. Forget smartphones. Our citizens will be lucky if they get a working radio. We could use Eritrea, where the internet is like Bigfoot. People talk about it, but no one's actually seen it. They've got one of the lowest internet penetration rates on the planet. Basically, if you want Wi-Fi there, good luck. You'll probably need a prayer and a miracle. But North Korea, though, oh boy. Do I even need to explain? This is the land where the internet is just a bunch of government-approved pages that make Kim Jong-un look like Superman. No Facebook, no Instagram, no Google. Heck, even calculators might need a permission slip. If technology is the future, North Korea is still chilling in the past with a VHS tape. So yeah, for the weakest country in the world, North Korea's tech policy fits perfectly. No innovation, no access, just pure blackout vibes. Okay, our country is already pretty weak, but let's make it even worse by choosing our economy. Now, the economy of this country makes rock bottom look like luxury. Imagine a place where unemployment is sky high, inflation is sitting like an invited visitor, and GDP is so low you can measure it in pocket change. We're talking South Sudan levels of disaster. This country suffers from poor infrastructure and an economy that runs on international aid. Trade? Forget it. Remember, we already picked Chad for the location, so no ports, no exports, no hope. Our currency is trash, so even if we wanted to import something, good luck paying for it. However, this isn't where it ends, because next up is military. Yeah, the people who are going to protect the country. Spoiler alert, they can't. When it comes to military, Somalia seems like a pretty good choice. I mean, the places where the military struggles with funding so bad that soldiers sometimes don't even get paid, and they have no morale to even help when there is danger. Equipment? If you see a tank, it's probably in a museum somewhere. But let's go even lower. How about Yemen? This is a country where the army has been split apart by civil war, with different factions running their own show. If we want instability and zero central command, Yemen is the blueprint. However, you know what's worse than having a weak army? Having no army at all. We could go for some tiny islands with nothing but coconuts for defense, but nah, that doesn't really count. I think I know just the thing. Costa Rica. This country literally abolished their military in 1949. Sounds wholesome, but for us, it's game over. Yeah, this is exactly what we need for our military. Okay, now let's cover one of the most important categories, government. This simply means how politically stable our country would be, and trust me, they are a lot of ones to choose from. For example, we could just look at the usual suspects and consider choices like South Sudan and Afghanistan, but even they have some sort of government. South Sudan, for example, has been a political disaster since day one, literally the newest country in the world, and it's been in civil war for most of its existence. Governments collapse pretty easily, leaders fight for power instead of leading, and corruption eats up what little money the country has. And although it sounds impossible, I actually found a country with way worse government: Somalia. This country is like the poster child of political chaos. The term failed state? Yeah, they practically trademarked it. Somalia has gone decades without a stable central government. They sometimes have warlords running their own mini-countries. They mostly skip elections, and they are completely unstable. Basically, the government exists on paper, but in real life, it's like trying to find Wi-Fi in the middle of the ocean. It's just not there. And with a government like this, I think our country wouldn't go very far. Okay, now let's do something different and give our country a special ability, just as we did in our strongest country video. This would make a big deal. Every super country has that one unique strength. But for our country, it's a special curse? I'm going straight to the point with Afghanistan's never-ending cycle of war and instability. Decades of conflict, zero infrastructure, and the economy held together by duct tape. If the phrase bad luck was a country, this would be it. At this point, you're probably wondering how this country could get any weaker, but there are still two categories to cover. And trust me, things are going to get even worse. Every country has a leader, right? Well, not this one, or at least not one you'd actually want. We could go for the classic corrupt types who steal everything, but that's too easy. No, we need a leader so bad that their leadership is practically a crime against common sense. Let's see, Turkmenistan. The presidents here act like real-life cartoon villains mixed with Instagram influencers. We're talking about giant golden statues of themselves, banning things like black cars. Why? Well, just because they can. Even democracy is a one-man talent show. But if we want to go full chaos, we could take notes from North Korea, leaders who turn propaganda into an art form and treat ruling like a family business. No criticism, no freedom, just mandatory worship 24/7. You don't like it? Well, you disappear. So yeah, our leader is going to be a mix of those two. A delusional dictator who spends more time building gold statues and renaming months after themselves than actually fixing the country. And finally, the name of our country. Yeah, just like last time, I'll leave this one up to you guys. Let us know what you would call this type of country. And after that, check out this video to see me create the most powerful country. Go on, check it out.